Here is the official teaser for Hereafter, starring the amazing Cile de France. This film will take you on an unforgettable emotional journey. What would you do if you were trapped between life and the afterlife? How far would you go to find your true love, even if it meant searching through a city of ghosts? Hereafter dives deep into the human soul, blending romance, mystery, and the supernatural. It asks the ultimate question: can love conquer all, even death? The story centers on Michael, played by Andy Carl, a confident, alpha male type who dies while still single. He finds himself in an afterlife where he's told by Scarlett, played by Christina Ricci, an afterlife manager dressed in serious, almost bureaucratic attire, that his soul is in jeopardy. Scarlett explains that in this world, souls can only move on to the afterlife in pairs. Soulmates, if you will. If Michael doesn't find his one true love before time runs out, his soul will be lost forever. This concept introduces an absurd amount of pressure, adding to the already heavy expectations from family, friends, and society about finding a partner, getting married, and starting a family. Now, apparently, this pressure follows you into the afterlife too. The idea draws from Aristophanes' ancient belief that humans were once two bodies joined together, and Zeus split them apart to weaken them. The film seems to suggest that unless we reunite with our other half, we're somehow incomplete. So Michael sets off on a ghostly quest through New York City to find his soulmate. But what if his soulmate is halfway across the world? He even worries about the logistical nightmare of his soulmate being in another country or continent, but the film mostly focuses on his wandering in the city in search of the person who will supposedly complete him. But hold on! The idea of needing someone else to be whole feels kinda outdated. As Alanis Morissette once put it, "I don't want to be your other half. I believe that one and one make two." Hereafter does make a valid point that a person needs to be comfortable with themselves, without any masks or pretenses, before they can truly love someone else. That's an important message, but the way the film handles it feels shallow. Writer-director Harry Greenberger sends Michael on a journey that mirrors the behavior he likely had while alive, frequenting bars and picking up women. Rather than exploring deeper connections or meaningful relationships, the film seems to reduce Michael's quest to a series of superficial encounters. This approach feels more like a tired male fantasy where the emphasis is on finding the one to complete a man's life, rather than a genuine exploration of love and self-discovery. Throughout the film, women are portrayed more as goals or prizes to be won, rather than as fully developed characters with their own stories and agency. What if these characters had more depth? How would that change our view of Michael's quest? This approach reduces the emotional impact of Michael's journey, making it difficult to empathize with his plight. Instead of rooting for him to find his soulmate, you might find yourself questioning the premise altogether. Why should his soul depend on finding a partner? And why does the film reinforce the idea that a person's worth or afterlife depends on their relationship status? Despite its flaws, Hereafter does touch on the universal human desire for connection and the fear of being alone. However, it misses the mark by presenting these themes in a way that feels outdated and overly simplistic. The film could have taken a more nuanced approach, exploring the complexities of love, self-acceptance, and human relationships without relying on stereotypes and cliches. Hereafter leaves you with more questions than answers. The idea that souls could only move on in pairs might make for an interesting plot device, but it also reinforces problematic notions about love and relationships. Instead of encouraging viewers to embrace their individuality and seek meaningful connections, the film seems to suggest that happiness and fulfillment are only possible if you find the one. If the film had dug deeper into its characters and offered a more balanced perspective on love and relationships, it could have been a much more compelling story. As it stands, Hereafter is a film with potential, but it ultimately falls short by leaning too heavily on tired tropes and male-centric fantasies that feel out of place in a modern narrative. In Hereafter, the streets are filled with wandering souls, their heads down, disconnected from everyone around them. This imagery serves as a metaphor for how we, as humans, often live our lives, isolated, ramped up in our own worlds, and too preoccupied to even acknowledge the people we pass by, let alone connect with a potential partner. Writer/director Harry Greenberger takes this idea further, depicting women as cold and calculating, while men are portrayed as carefree and fun-loving. It's a stark and troubling contrast that reflects outdated gender stereotypes. Michael, the film's protagonist, is no saint. In the opening scene, shot to appear as one continuous take, Michael looks directly at the camera and narrates a disturbing story from his youth, recounting how he handcuffed an unwilling girl to a bed and tried to look cool by unbuttoning her shirt. The scene sets the tone for Michael's character, revealing his deeply flawed view of women as objects rather than as people worthy of love and respect. Even in the present day, his girlfriend sees through his facade and breaks up with him at an airport, right before they're supposed to meet his parents. After Michael's death, he meets a woman named Honeybee, one person with whom he feels comfortable enough to let his guard down. However, there's a significant problem. Honeybee's still alive, and she's not even given a real name. Instead, she's saddled with a childish, almost demeaning nickname, which only reinforces the film's skewed perspective. Hereafter presents itself as a male fantasy, attempting to excuse chauvinistic behavior by suggesting that men only realize how to act right after they're dead. But this raises a troubling question. Does someone really need to die to learn how to treat others with decency and respect? To make matters worse, Honeybee is being stalked by a menacing character named Patrick, her former boss, who had once inappropriately asked her out on a date and is now obsessed with her. As Patrick's behavior becomes increasingly dangerous, Michael, who's now a ghost, fails to warn Honeybee about the impending threat. Despite witnessing Patrick's descent into psychotic behavior, Michael chooses to withhold the truth from Honeybee, keeping her in the dark about the danger she faces. This is where the film's message becomes particularly problematic. Instead of protecting Honeybee or empowering her to take action, Michael manipulates the situation to suit his own desires. He shelters her from the truth, not out of love or concern, but to maintain control over the narrative. That isn't love. It's a desire to be the hero in one's own story, a selfish need to shape events according to one's own terms, rather than allowing others to make informed decisions about their own lives. The film's portrayal of what men want is exaggerated to the point of being abhorrent. From the opening confessional to the airport breakup, and through his encounters with various women, Michael's behavior is consistently self-serving. Even when he meets Honeybee, the film's idealized version of the perfect woman, he continues to play games, manipulating the situation rather than being honest and forthcoming. What's more disturbing is that the script seems to want the audience to believe that Michael's somehow redeeming himself. But true redemption and love require honesty, vulnerability, and a willingness to put someone else's needs above your own. Instead, Michael's actions are driven by his desire to be seen as the hero, to mold reality to fit his own narrative, rather than allowing Honeybee the autonomy to understand and respond to the threats around her. Michael's journey is not one of true transformation, but rather a continuation of the same flawed mindset that defined him in life. His interactions with Honeybee and other women in the film reflect a persistent need to control and manipulate, rather than love and respect. Hereafter tries to dress up this behavior as a form of redemption, but it falls short. Hereafter has a few genuine moments of care and acceptance, particularly in a heart-rending scene where Jeannie Berlin shines as Michael's mother. However, these moments are overshadowed by the film's underlying message. Hey, we hope you liked our teaser. If so, make sure you comment down below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon for more updates.